Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I apologize for the delay. I was outside. Just keep back. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin. Sayyidina wa habibina wa syafi'ina wa nuri qulubina wa qurrati a'yunina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma atina min ladunka rahmah wa 'allimna min ladunka ilma. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نوينا التعلم والتعليم والتذكر والتذكير ونفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم ودعاء إلى الهدى ودلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى مع لطف وعافية برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني ومشرب صافي الهاني وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني ومشرب صافي الهاني وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني ومشرب صافي الهني وهاب يا غني. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم ألهمنا علما نتقي به أمرك ونواهيك وارزقنا فهما نعرف به كيف نناجيك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك فهم النبيين وحفظ المرسلين وإلهام الملائكة المقربين في عافيته يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أغننا بالعلم وزينا بالحلم وأكرمنا بالتقوى وجملنا بالعافية يا أرحم الراحمين. آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم إنا نستودعك ما قرأناه وما نقرأه في هذا المجلس وما قبله وما بعده، فاحفظه علينا حتى ترده إلينا وقت وهتدعو إلينا وقت احتياجنا إليه يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أكرمنا بالنور الفهم وأخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وافتح لنا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا حكمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم يا من مقاليد الأمور كلها بيده وإليه يرجع الأمر كله، يا فتاح يا عليم يا فتاح يا عليم يا فتاح يا عليم، افتح علينا فتحا قريبا. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي وسدد لساني واهدي قلبي وافعل كذلك بأحبابي أبدا، وارزقنا كمال فتوح العارفين والفقه في الدين مع كمال الإخلاص والصدق واليقين والعافية والغنى والنصر والحفظ والنفع والانتفاع وخيرات الدارين وعلوم الأولين والآخرين. آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم، والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين 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 يا رب العالمين. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. We are continuing with our Minhaj al-Abidin from the book by Imam al-Ghazali. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Min kitab from the book Minhaj al-Abidin, منهاج العابدين إلى جنة رب العالمين. تأليف الإمام المجدد حجر الإسلام والمسلمين زين الدين أبي حامد محمد بن أحمد الغزالي الدوسي الطبراني الشافعي رضي الله عنه ونفعنا الله به وبعلومه في الدارين. And from the book The Path of the Worshipful Servant to the Guidance of Lord of the Worlds by the great Imam, the renewer of his faith, the proof of this religion, the father of Hamid, Muhammad bin Ahmad al-Ghazali at-Tusi al-Tabarani al-Shafi'i. May Allah be pleased with him, and may Allah benefit us by him and by his knowledge to where he has said. Right, so if you all have the book, if you're on the black book, we are on page 249 on the black book. On the white book, if you have the white book, we are on page I think 344 if I'm not wrong. Yeah, I think 344 or 345. I think we're on page 6. Should be in those pages. Okay, but I'll read from the black book. If you want to use the black book, I'm not using the white book. It's the black book. Okay. Okay, Bismillah. Right, so he says, okay, about and we are at the part about ujub, right? So amal ujub. Right, so he's speaking about conceit, right? Or which is self-pride. Ujub will be, self-pride. Right. So and he's speaking about, the usul, right? Usul meaning what would dismantle it. And that is what we mean by usul. Right? So usul meaning the foundations of this disease, right? And by going to the foundations of the disease, he goes to the foundations of overcoming this disease, and to bring this and to get rid and to rid yourself of this disease, right? So we're on the asl thani. وأصل الثاني ما تعلم أن الملك في الدنيا إذا أجرى على أحد جراية من طعام أو كسوة أو دراهم أو دنانير معدودة فانية فإنه يستخدمه بضروب الخدمة آناء الليل والنهار مع ما في ذلك من الذل والصغار ويقوم على رأسه حتى يتخدر رجلاه ويسعى بين يديه إذا ركب وربما يحتاج أن يكون على بابه طول الليل حارسا وربما يبدو له عدو فيحتاج أن يقاتل عدوه فيبذل روحه التي لا خلف عنها لأجله ويحتمل كل هذه الخدمة والكفلة والخطر والضرر لأجل تلك المنفعة منفعة النكدة الحقيرة ومع أنها بالحقيقة من الله تعالى وإنما هو بمنزلة سبب في ذلك فربك الذي خلقك ولم تك شيئا ثم رباك فأحسن تربية ثم أنعم عليك من النعم الظاهرة والباطنة في دينك ونفسك ودنياك ما لا يبلغ كنهها فهمك ووهمك قال عز من قائل وإن تعدوا نعمة الله لا تحصوها ثم إنك تصلي ركعتين مع ما فيهما من المعايب والآفات مع ما وعد عليهما في المستقبل من حسن الثواب وضروب الكرامات حتى تستعظم ذلك وتعجب به وليس هذا من شأن عاقل إذا نظرت فهذه Right, so he mentions the third foundation or the third essential in overcoming ujub, right? In overcoming ujub, which is self-pride or self-conceit. Right, so the second essential point he says is this: as you know, the king in this world provides someone with rations, right? So he gives someone of risk, right? And it's a form of food or drink or clothes or a few gold or silver coins that are soon spent. In exchange, that person serves him through the watches of the night and the day, and with all the abasement and humiliation that entails. Right, so he's giving an example. And this is the way Imam Ghazali does in his books, right? He's very good examples, right? So he will, to illustrate a point, he will go into a part of life, right, that we all can relate to, so that to show how ridiculous, right, this disease is, right? And then you can see throughout this entire treatise of Minhaj al-Abidin, whereby he just breaks things down so simply to the point it seems almost, it seems foolish, right, that a person would even have this disease, mashallah. And there are of the ulama of the awliya, right? Who, when they learn about all these diseases, right, they are completely bewildered, right? Because they have never come across it before in themselves, much more, and not in the people around them. So they never know that such people have such, things going on in them, right, of such diseases. Right? So they're so pure like that, in that way, mashallah. One of the mashayikh of Hadramaut, he said that he never realized that these diseases existed until he began reading these books. Then he was like, oh, people actually do that. And people actually, feel proud about themselves. Why? Why would someone do that? Right? For them, it's just like so far from their mind because they're so focused on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. Right. So he says here, right? So and true and so serving the king through the day and the night with humiliation and abasement, right? And just to earn a few coins and just to gain, a few like some form of support from the king, in forms of clothing and food. He stands before the king till his legs turn numb, and he runs in front of him when he goes riding. He sometimes needs to be on guard at his door throughout the night. An enemy may appear, so he will need to fight the foe, the enemy, sacrificing his irreplaceable spirit or his ruh. Right? I mean, sacrificing his own ruh, his own soul for the king's sake. He endures all this service, inconvenience, danger, and harm for the sake of that pitiful and trifling benefit. Right? There's those few coins, those few coins, those few whatever the king is able to give you. Although it is really from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right. So that even and in fact of the matter is that whatever he's trying to earn through the king is not from the king. It's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and his risk, it will come to him no matter what. Right. And the king is merely in the position of an instrument, right, in which your risk comes through. It is your Lord who created you when you were nothing. Then he brought you up and trained you well. Then he blessed you with outer and inner blessings in your religion, your person, and your worldly life to an extent unfathomable by your understanding and your imagination. That means you're unable to encompass it in any way. You're unable to encompass how much Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you of of his blessings, as Allah himself has said in the Quran. If you were to enumerate the blessings of Allah, then you would never be able to count it. If you were to enumerate, or just one blessing, if you want to encompass this one blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you would never be able to do so. Meaning you will never be able to even understand one single blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so much more. You don't know what it is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done for you. And a human being, Allah says, a human being is indeed a wrongdoer and increase. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. So then he says, you perform 2 cycles of ritual prayer with all the faults and the vices you include in the 40 rakats, knowing that he has promised for them in the future, in the form of excellent reward and various gifts of grace. So you should treat that performance of prayer with great respect, yet you are vainly conceited about it. That is not the mark of an intelligent person, if you take notice. MashaAllah. Right, so, right, so in a sense, this is what I was saying from the beginning. Right, those who have pride is just being foolish, just being fools. Right, those who have pride, what are you proud about? Like what have you done that is worthy of pride? Right? You look at your salat, like the very basic thing about being a Muslim, our salat. Like subhanallah. Right? I mean, we're even afraid to look at it, right? On the day of judgment, you just hope Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts and don't ask us about what's going on in the salat. Right? Because if Allah breaks apart the salat and see what exactly is going on in your salat, it's all complete destruction. There's nothing to boast about. Then other than that, what else are you boastful about? What else is there but a human being that does not belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the first place? Right? So if the human being want to boast, and Mawazani spoke about this earlier, right? Those who, okay, we speak about dunyawi things and akhirat things. Right? So to boast about dunyawi things is the most ridiculous thing to do, right? Because the dunya is worthless, is not even worth the wing of a mosquito to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's like you having a wing of a mosquito and saying, look at my wing, wow, mashallah, look at it, and taking picture of the wing and then putting it on Instagram, and then like the wing of a mosquito. Yay. Like So it's like the thing that Allah says that if the dunya were to be will be of value to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even the wing of a mosquito, Allah would not give the kafir a sip of drink. And Allah has given the kafir a lot in this dunya. And that tells us that the wing of a mosquito is way more, valuable than this entire dunya. Right. So that's the first thing he says, from the beginning of the chapter. He says that you're gonna be proud. You're gonna be proud about things dunya, like your looks, your house, your car, right, your job, right, your whatever life are proud, their vacations, their whatever the people show off, right? In our zaman is a zaman of showing off. Right. And it's just, as much as people want to, deny it, it's undeniable lah. The zaman of is showing, parading, it's just a lot of showing off lah. The zaman of showing off. And it's really, it's and think about it, that all of this put together, the whole world put together, does not even weigh the wing of a mosquito. Right? So why in the world would someone show off the dunya? Right? Show off their beauty, show off their money, show off their house, show off their car, show off their, like, why would someone do that? Right? So that's on one end. So Imam Ghazali says, if there's anything to be shown off, it will be good deeds. Right? Because first and foremost, dunya has no worth. Not saying you should show off your good deeds, but he just said that he's like comparing. Dunya has no worth whatsoever. Right? So trying to show off your dunya is like showing off a rock or something. There has no worth. Right? So what has worth is our good deeds. And by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, good deeds have worth. Right? So good deeds have worth. Right? So, but then again, these good deeds are done for who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah is fully knowledgeable about what these good deeds are about. You don't have to show off to Allah. Right? Allah is fully aware. And that's the fear right there. Allah is fully aware of what these good deeds are about. Right. So people who show off their good deeds, showing off to people who don't know about their good deeds. And so they show up about their prayer, about their Quran, about their fasting, about their whatever, right? Their charity, their voluntary work, and they show off. They're showing off to human beings who don't know the reality of these deeds, right? That inside, is it rotten, or is it purified? Right? We don't know. Right? And technically, there is no need to show off to other human beings, because other human beings are not, they're not the one to reward you for these deeds. Allah is the one who rewards you. Right? So mashallah, he goes back to that and he's saying that, to the one who strives all so hard, right, to please another human being, another creation, right, just to earn a little bit. Like how pathetic, right? They kind of striving. And then the one who does 2 rak'ats, and then he knows that is full of flaws, and he knows that Allah sees all the flaws. There's nothing to be proud of. How in the world is he proud? Where is the pride coming from? Right? There's no basis for the pride. Right? So it's not the mark of an intelligent person. Right? If the one who takes pride in themselves, and the one who is, the one who raises to exalt themselves, the one who sees themselves as, I don't know, good lah. The one who sees themselves on a pedestal, right? That's not a smart person at all. Right? It's a foolish individual. Right? Whereby you can't see the reality of your own self. Right? That's why I think most every music was quote Surah Halimah. It is not rendah diri, but it is sedar diri. Right? Humility is not lowering the self. Humility is knowing the self. If you know yourself well, right, there is nothing except to be humble. Right? If you know yourself well, mashallah. Number 3, the third essential point is this: the king is the one who is served by the governors and commanders, the one before whom the leaders and dignitaries stand at attention, whose service is conducted by the clever and the wise, whose praise is sought by the intelligent and the scholars, and in front of whom walk the elders and the chiefs. Suppose the king permits let's see, or is that plebeian or villager? I've never seen it before. وأن الملك الذي ما من شأنه أن يخدم أفواه الملوك من البراء لسوقي أو قروي. Okay, تمام. Right, so سوقي, somebody who goes, pedestrian, a pedestrian or a villager. Now, right, a person in front of the marketplace lah. A plebeian. You ever seen that word before? Is it plebeian? Is it plebeian there? Oh, I don't know. Anyway. Humble villager. A humble villager. Or is it here? Is a plebeian. Plebeian. Okay, never mind. But in Arabic is suqiyun. Suqiyun, that means someone from the marketplaces. Or humble villager. Plebeian. Okay, we learn a new English word. Or a villager to enter his door as an act of kindness and care for him, so that he rubs shoulders with those governors, leaders, and elders, and with those who are distinguished in his service and his commendation. And suppose he assigns him a known station in his presence, and views his acts of service with the eye of approval, even though they are flawed and faulty. People will surely say about that commoner, this miserable wretch has received great favor and splendid attention from the king. Then, if this miserable wretch expects the king to show gratitude for that faulty service, if he dares to take great pride in it, and is vainly conceited about it, the people would say, that is a very stupid fool or a lunatic who understands nothing at all. Subhanallah. Right. So again, but again about the showing off lah. So the first whole part, the entire of the first part is the king, right, who has all these connections. So now a commoner comes in, right, and a commoner just does some work, right, in the castle, and then the king, and because of the person's presence in the castle, right, people, right, will begin to blame this person, right? They blame this person, right? And if this person were to expect from the king, then the blame will be even more, right? So that is on the that is so basically on those whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed for us to do something good, right? Allah has allowed us to do something good. Right? And then if we, expect from Allah, or we demand from Allah, or we, whatever, like, right, expect or demand from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right, then that would result in us not basically being foolish, right? Being foolish and being a lunatic, and who does not understand anything at all. Once this point has been established, we may go on to say that our God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the king who is glorified by the seven heavens and earth and all that they contain. There is nothing that does not glorify his praise. He who is worthy of worship is the one to whom those in the heavens and on earth bow down in prostration, willingly or unwillingly. The servants at his door include Jibreel and Mikael, the trustworthy Mikael, Israfil, Israel, and the bearers of the heavenly throne, and the cherubs, and the spiritual beings, and all of the angels. I saw it, and subhanAllah is all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ruhina, وحملة العرش وكروبيون وروحانيون وسائر الملائكة المقربين الذي لا يحصى عددهم إلا الله رب العالمين في منازلهم رفيعه وأنفسهم الطاهرة وعباداتهم العظيمة. Right, so all of these angels around Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right, then we understand. So Allah is the king. So he's drawing the parable of what he's earlier on. Allah is the king, and around Allah subhanahu and the one that serves Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be the creation, the earth, the angels, the prophets, and so on. So then the following are also included amongst those who are servants at his door: Nabi Adam, Nuh, Ibrahim, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the best of all creatures, as well as the other prophets and messengers. May Allah's blessings be upon them all, in their exalted degrees, their honorable and glorious virtues and noble stations, and their majestic and splendid customs. Then come the scholars, the religious leaders, the righteous, the ascetics, in their magnificent degrees, their clean and pure bodies, and their many sincere and manifest acts of worshipful service. The lowliest of the servants that he saw are the kings and tyrants of this world, who prostrate themselves humbly before him with their chins on the ground, rub their face in the dust, and present their needs to him, weeping and wailing and moaning. They acknowledge their servitude to him and confess their own deficiency, bowing down in humble prostration, so he sometimes casts a glance at them and fulfills a need for them by his gracious favor, or pardons a mistake for them by his noble generosity. He's giving the understanding of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with regards to all of creation. Right? And then he says, regardless of this might, majesty, sovereignty, and perfection of his, Allah has granted you permission to enter his service in spite of your wretchedness, your faults, and your impurities. You are the kind of person who might not receive punishment from the chief of your town if you applied to him for permission. If you speak to the governor of your district, he may not speak to you. If you bow down to the ground before the ruler of your country, he may not pay attention to you. Nevertheless, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted you permission to worship him, extol him, and address him in speech. You may even direct a request to him and express it to him frankly, asking him to fulfill your needs and satisfy your concerns. He will be pleased, right, with your 2 cycles of prayer and with all of your faults. Indeed, he will prepare for you a reward that would never occur to the human heart, yet you are vainly conceited by these 2 ritual prayers. Second ritual prayer. You think you have done a great deal of work and you are very proud of your performance, and you do not acknowledge the gracious favor that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon you. What a bad servant you are, and what an ignorant person. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one from whom we seek help. To him we complain of this ignorant lower self, and in him we put all trust. Right, so the whole thing, he just summarized the entire thing of what he's been saying all the while. Right, so after mentioning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a king of kings and a king of everything, and then who are you having nothing? And for you to be arrogant. Right? And he said that if you were in your own town, your leaders don't even give you any attention because you're a nobody. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows for you to ask. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows for you to request to him and to speak to him subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And after all that, it is ugly on a human being, right, to think that anything belongs to him, that anything is for him to be proud of, right? Subhanallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from it. MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah.
Well, I know it was mentioned like the angels, right? Like, and then the cherubs or something. What's the cherubs?
The karu, I think I repeat better actually. The Arabic is here. Right. So Azrael وحملة العرش, are those who carry the arsh. Okay, for the English. Okay, so it goes from Jibril, right? Jibril al-Amin, Jibril trustworthy, Mikael, right? Israfil, Azrael, Hamalatul Arsh, and those that carry the arsh.
Oh,
is that the word?
Yeah, because who read it as the cherubs, and then in my book it also the cherubim. So that is actually referring to those who carry the arsh.
What is the English?
It's also you read it as
cherub.
Yes, I'm asking.
I just read through. I have no idea what it means.
Yeah, because when you read the Arabic,
I know the Arabic.
and also arsh.
Hamatul Arsh, those who carry the arsh.
Oh,
I have no idea what is cherub. Maybe it's a king term. To go in the terms of the king, like king's court, right?
like
maybe they are like people, soldiers or something. Like, they call cherubs. I don't know. But it's called Hamatul Arsh wa Karubiyun wa Ruhaniyun. Right, okay. All of these they put under spiritual beings. So Karubiyun, right? Karubiyun are the angels that remove the worries of human beings. And the Ruhaniyun, right, are the angels that bring rest to human beings. And they put it all under spiritual beings. It's all specific terminology in Islam. The thing isn't there is any like English equivalent.
The sheriff is winged angel in biblical traditions.
Is it?
Sure.
Oh,
That's what I thought. Like I hear it more of like the
under the Christians?
yeah. But it's in
Well, the translator has a Christian background, right?
is it?
He was Christian, I think, when he came into Islam.
This one, but
Okay, that one I don't know, but this one I know. The black one I know. He wrote about his conversion. The translator for this one, he was a professor in a university. And his topic of study was Imam Ghazali. I was non-Muslim, right? But he said Imam Ghazali as a historical figure, right, and an intellectual. Right, so his topic of, I think his entire life, I mean, his entire thesis and everything, right, was around Ghazali, right, and eventually he wrote at the beginning of his transition, how when he finally came into Islam, after not being able to deny it any further because of studying Ghazali so much as a human being, like it just has to be the answer is Islam brought out as a human being. Then he wrote that he felt that when he finally converted, he felt that Imam Ghazali was present. He felt very strongly Imam Ghazali was present to witness his conversion. Because like studying Imam Ghazali, he went into a very personal relationship with Imam Ghazali. Right? Because you're always on this person. So you know this person very, very well. And so he felt like that because it was Imam Ghazali who was the one who did da'wah to him, in a sense, like, and pulled him into Islam. Mashallah. So he felt, but this is the one that was this author, the one that we're reading right now on the Zoom, the same author, right? The one is a little different author. Right? This is just one here. He writes. You can read his preface. Right? He writes about his conversion. Right? Very interesting, that mashallah. Okay, let's go into the subsection. Right, for a bit of time left. Let us now consider the following scenario. Yeah, I'm gonna read through his entire scenario first, so that then I'll explain it because Imam Ghazali sometimes he gives a long example. They wondering what's the link, right? And then he links it up. Right. So we'll read through it. Let us now consider the following scenario. The mighty king grants permission for gifts to be presented to him. So into his presence come the commanders, the elders, the chiefs, the noblemen, and the rich, bearing all kinds of gifts, such as valuable jewels, precious treasures, and magnificent properties. Then a greengrocer comes with a bunch of vegetables, or a villager brings a basket of grapes equal in value to a daniq or a pip. Right, so he enters the king's presence and rubs shoulders to those elders and rich men with their many noble gifts. The king accepts a poor man's gift with obvious approval and good pleasure and awards him a precious cloak of honor that surely represents the utmost favor and noble generosity on the king's part. Suppose this poor man expects the king to grovel in gratitude for his gift. Suppose he vainly conceited about it, takes great pride in it, and forgets to acknowledge the king's gracious favor. People will surely say, this is a lunatic, mentally deranged, or a stupid fool with bad manners, extremely ignorant. Right? So here, just because Allah gives you great reward in the small, measly things that you do, don't ever ascribe any of it to yourself. Right? This is what the thing is saying here. Right? So you come and you present something to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's so pathetic. Right? But Allah promises you Jannah, and He promises you a castle and a mashallah. Right? If you get proud about it, right, and then you think you deserve all of these things, and you demand from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right, then it is complete stupidity, it's complete foolishness, right, on your part. Right? What is now required of you, therefore, is to keep vigil at night for the sake of Allah, at night prayers, and perform 2 cycles of ritual prayers for His sake. It is that you must think of the many servants who are keeping vigil this night for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all the regions of the earth, and on land and on sea and at sea, on the mountains and in the towns, from the ranks of the rightly guided, the champions of truth, the fearful, the ardent, dedicated and the humbly submissive. You must consider how much it is being presented at this very moment, the rida of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the form of pure worship and genuine service, performed in fear of offending Him, with clean tongues and weeping eyes, devout hearts, immaculate breasts, and unstrained limbs. As for your ritual prayers, even if you have spent no effort in refining them and observing their rules, and in performing them with sincerity, they will hardly be suitable for the presence of this Almighty King. They will hardly compare with those acts of worship that are being offered there of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How can they compare when you have acted with a negligent heart, mixed with all kinds of faults, a body defiled by the filth of sins, and a tongue strained by all kinds of disobedience and transgression? How can this be fit to be conveyed into that presence? How can it be worthy of being offered to the Lord of might and glory? So our Sheikh, he once said, look hard, O intelligent one. Have you ever directed one of your ritual prayers towards heaven, like a table of food that you send to the homes of the rich? Abu Bakr al-Warraq used to say, I have never concluded ritual prayer without feeling ashamed of it. My sense of shame was always greater than that felt by a woman after unlawful sexual intercourse. The noble and generous Lord Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has magnified the work of these 2 cycles of prayer by His sheer generosity and gracious favor, and He has promised for them the abundant reward that He has promised. You are His servant and you are in His employ. You have done what you have done through His enabling grace and His facilitation. In spite of all of that, however, you are proud that you're really conceited about your work. You forget Allah's gracious favor. This by Allah is utterly astonishing. The like of it could hardly emanate from anyone but a thoughtless ignoramus, a mindlessly negligent person, or a dead and empty heart. We beseech Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant a sufficient portion through His grace and favor. Let's put that display on the couch. MashaAllah. Right, so again, he repeats himself, like about like if when you pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's like someone offering a small a bit of wood to a king, like who has everything, but the king appreciates and the king accepts this small bit of wood, right? Subhanallah. So so your prayer is like that, but yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts it. So it's not for you to think either it is from your greatness of it, but it is from the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillah. Okay, Alhamdulillah. I think we'll start about the day doctor. Any questions? Are there any questions? Okay, there are no questions. We'll stop there. وصلى على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة أن الله يرزق أمنا بالمعروف وصدق ودلال الهدى ويسر بقوم النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وإلى أرواح معالمنا بشيخنا وأزل من علينا بنا حاضرة النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.